So the first thing we're going to have to do is set up an environment to work in. So we're going to need to install a few dependencies and tools that we will use to develop using React and JavaScript. The first thing we're going to need is to install Node.js. So I don't recall the exact URL, so I'm just going to Google Node.js download. And this is going to direct you to hopefully nodejs.org/n/download. And if you're on Windows, then you're going to download the Windows installer. And so there's a few different things here. If you're on Linux, what you're going to do is open up Terminal and type in, well, Node might actually already be installed, but if let me see. If you pull up Terminal, you can type in node -- version, and it should give you a version number. If it doesn't, that means that you don't have Node installed. And also another thing we're going to need is npm, which you can do the same thing to verify if you'd like, npm -- version. Now if you don't have either of these installed and you're on Linux, I believe it's just, well, let's say you're on Ubuntu. Okay, so you actually need to add a PPA to your system on Linux in order to install it. So sudo apt install curl, and then you're going to copy this. Well, here, just search install Node. It's going to give you instructions that you should copy into your terminal to install, and then you can install Node and npm, and you can verify that they're installed using these commands. In the discussion on this video, I will post this link. So let me just paste that over on the side here. Install Node Ubuntu. Although if you're using Ubuntu, you probably won't have any trouble with that at all. If you're on Windows, which I think a lot of you guys will be, you will come to nodejs.org/n/download, and you'll find Windows Installer here. You're going to install LTS just because it's more stable, and I feel safer using that for production. You know, if you want to check out latest features, you can install current, but for right now, we're going to go with LTS. Download the Windows installer, either 32-bit or 64-bit. I believe they've actually just straight up stopped making 32-bit processors. I could be wrong. So you're most likely going to want the 64-bit version. If you're on Windows, the way you can verify which version you need is to go to this PC. You're going to right click and click Properties, and it should tell you somewhere here system type. It will say 32-bit or 64-bit. If you've got 64-bit, follow along with 64-bit version. Otherwise, install the 32-bit version. You're going to click on it, and it's going to download a .msi file. I've already got this installed, so I'm going to go a little bit through the setup. It's very straightforward. It's just, you know, you hit next, 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 just like other installers, and it will install Node to your system. It's very important, and by default, the default behavior of the installer is to add the Node library to the path. I'm going to show you this just so you guys can confirm and make sure that that's happening. And this will basically, it will allow your system to know where Node is for when you run the command, and I'll give you guys a breakdown here in a sec. So hit next, I accept the terms, next, you can choose a directory, hit next, and then right here on this screen, you're going to want to make sure add to path looks like this. This means will be installed on hard drive, and these are what the other icons mean. Make sure add to path is going to be installed, and then hit next, and you're going to install it. I'm going to cancel out of this because I already have it installed. When you've got it installed, you're going to hit finish. It shouldn't take too long. Now, if I go back to here and right-click on Properties, in Advanced System Settings on the left-hand side, that opens up way over to the left. Let me bring this in here. If you click on Environment Variables at the bottom, you're going to get this list here, and Path is right here. I'm going to click Edit, and what we see is a list of directories that when we run a program from terminal, it will first look in the System32 directory on the hard disk to see if it can find it there. Otherwise, it's going to come to this list right here, so we can see that, where is it? This one right here would be the one that was added, I guess, when you install Node.js. Make sure you see npm or node or something there, and then open up command line PowerShell terminal and run these two commands. You're going to run node -- version, and it should print out a version number on the next line right here, and you're also going to do the same with npm. And it should give you a version number. Now, if we run node, we should get this, which is an interpreter, and we can write JavaScript. So I can say and then we can, of course, console log var name. So we are good to go. So I'm going to Control-C out of here and clear. Now the next thing we're going to need to install is Visual Studio Code. So just Google for this. Make sure, actually you could go directly to this link. I'm going to have this there as well. Code.visualstudio.com. Click it download for Windows. It's going to download an installer file. You click keep, and then you're going to run that, and the process is exactly the same. You're going to hit next, 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 and it's going to install Visual Studio to your system. Now the next thing we're going to have to install is React itself. If you go to reactjs.org, which I will also post here in the video, this you can click Get Started, and resources, tutorials. I don't think it's going to tell us how to install it. All right. Oh, create a new. All right. Well, what we're going to do is install a program through npm. So once you've got it installed, if you had PowerShell open and then you installed Node and those commands aren't working, by the way, you're just going to want to close PowerShell and open up a new instance. It's going to load in the new path variables, and it's going to be able to find the Node and npm libraries. Now, in order to install Node libraries, there's two types of ways you can do it. You can install it globally to the system, which means you can use it in any directory. It's not part of a project. It's not a project dependency. It's just an application that you've installed to your computer using Node. And how we're going to do that is npm install g, and then the package name would go here. So that's the syntax for installing global packages. Now, if you're in a project's directory that does have a package.json file, that means it's a Node project. And so you can install directly into that project. We'll get more into that later. So for right now, go ahead and type in npm install -g space create -react -app and hit enter. Now this process will take a few minutes to complete. I've already got it installed, so it actually didn't take that long at all, which is awesome. So this means now that from the command line we can use the command create react app, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So what I want you guys to do is create a directory for your projects. So how I do this, sorry about that, how I do this is I go to my users directory. You should see, pictures, music, downloads, etc. Just create a new directory, a new folder, and call it projects, which I've got here. We're going to be using this name for our first React application, so I'm going to delete that now. Now, while that's actually deleting, and it's huge because it's deleting Node modules as well from that project, we're also going to install React Dev Tools for Chrome. Now, if you're not using Chrome, this is highly advised. Install Chrome. So you would go to chrome.google.com, install Chrome, and then Google for React Developer Tools. You're going to find this offered by Facebook. Click Add to Chrome. And we'll get more into what this does later. Just now is a great time to install it. So get that started, and let's jump back into Terminal. So you can pause this video to install React DevTools, come back to it, and I will be right here. So what we're going to do is change directory into projects, and then we're going to issue the command create-react-app space, and now we're going to name a directory name for where we want to create the project in. So in this instance, it's going to just be demo. And this is going to take a few minutes, so I will leave you guys here. This has been how to set up an environment to get working in React. In the next video, we're going to be looking at a basic project structure. I'm going to be going over how to install, well, no, I'll probably go over installing libraries to the project a bit later. So for right now, we're just going to look at the project itself, and let's do that.